So now we've gotten through the first part that typically prolongs the website decision-making process for practices, which is just truly understanding the qualities that they need to really analyze in their website vendor. The next part is something that affects almost every practice that I have come in contact with in my 8 years of consulting. We've all heard the phrase shooting yourself in the foot. Or becoming a victim of your own circumstance. This is something that almost every practice that I work with goes through, where they just simply do not take action when action is truly needed. And at the end of the day, I really truly understand the reason why. As doctors, as specialists, you have spent literally hundreds of thousands of dollars going to medical school, getting the best in training from the best world-class medical schools, the best world-class residencies and fellowships. You've put so much time into your education to becoming a great specialist, a great surgeon, a great doctor. And through that training, you are taught to make decisions on how you treat patients judiciously, because it's literally life and death which is at stake here. So in how you treat a patient, it's very methodical. It's very well thought out. You're looking at all different angles, considering all different scenarios, which ultimately, while it leads to a longer decision on how you're going to treat that patient, leads to better outcomes. That method of thinking does not always transfer over to how you should actually run a practice. And all too often, I see practices go through a system where they overanalyze the different qualities of a website company, or that on the flip side of that coin, they just do not take an action when a clear action is needed to be made. And there are definite downfalls to that in terms of how it not only just will hurt your practice, both financially, as well as your ability to acquire more patients to help you grow and to really help the skill sets that you've learned in medical school truly thrive. Now, there's an economic principle that we know. It's called compounding exponential lost opportunity cost. It's a very, very long phrase. But basically what that means is that the longer that you are operating your business or your practice at a sub-optimized level, the more lost opportunities your business or your practice is incurring in terms of revenue that you're not realizing or recouping because of the sub-optimization performance of your business. In other words, the longer you choose to delay the decision on redesigning or needing a brand new website, the more lost revenue that you're not realizing over the long term, that you're not recouping. I'll give you an example. About 10 years ago, I had a hair restoration done. I was going bald at a pretty young age, and it really bothered me. So I decided to take action. And I did what any other patient would do. As I went online, I searched for some hair restoration doctors, ultimately found a great guy out of San Diego who did my hair restoration. I was thrilled. I was living a better quality of life. I looked younger again. I looked like myself that I always was accustomed to seeing in the mirror. I wanted to tell everybody about that procedure. So I told a buddy of mine, Josh. Josh was thinking about getting a hair restoration done, but he always thought that the hair wasn't really real, it wasn't natural, it didn't grow, so he always had some misnomers about it. But then, once he met me, he was able to then go to that same surgeon and that same provider. Now, if you think about it in terms of what that surgeon initially did, is that how did I initially find him? It was through doing an internet search, and I found him through doing an internet search and was very impressed by what I saw. Had he not done that, he would have not converted me as a patient, and in turn, I would have not helped to convert my buddy Josh for that same procedure. But because he was operating at a very high operational level in terms of the facets of his business, he was able to realize more revenue over the long term. Now think about your situation. If you've known you needed to redesign your website, but you keep on delaying it, if that's a decision you're choosing to make, you also have to think about how many opportunities are you now losing between now and the time you actually decide to take action. It's not even tens of thousands of dollars of lost opportunities. It's hundreds of thousands of dollars of lost opportunities. So make no mistake about it. Your website is such a critical component piece to the functioning of your practice. If you're investing into technology or investing into lasers, those lasers or that technology will never get used unless patients are coming into the door to want to use it or to have that used upon them for the services that you're providing. And that's what's at stake here. So I'd encourage you to not shoot yourself in the foot. to not take that same decision-making process that we've been taught through medical school, and when you know something needs to get done, let's take action and get it done. Now, there's also another component that will inhibit the growth of a practice depending upon how quickly you can make a decision to execute the development, and this is one thing that practices very rarely consider, which is what is my timeline for development as well as what is my timeline to get the site visible on Google searches. Depending upon the type of site that you're investing into, it could take several months to create a meaningful website that's well thought out, well executed, that has good content and good information, and most importantly, really accurately identifies and establishes your brand. It's not like turning on a light switch. Just as buildings take time to construct in a meaningful way, so do websites. Now, once that website gets up and active, depending upon how competitive or saturated your market is, as well as your specialization, that also can take several months of ramp-up time before you get any type of placement within Google searches. Now, this is a video that I'm creating, so I'm cautioned to give definitive timelines on either end from the development as well as on the marketing side, because it's all dependent upon what type of site you develop as well as what type of marketing solution you want to get into. But just know that once you've made that decision, it can also take several months of development as well as marketing ramp up in order to see any type of return on your investment. So it's going to take you time to make your decision, and it's also going to take you several months of time to develop as well as to build up your initial marketing foundation for the website. And in between that time is just all lost opportunity cost that you're not being able to recoup or to target because you haven't made a decision quicker on developing a new meaningful website now. And I want my practices to be successful. Our business model is directly correlated to our clients' success. We as a company would not be successful if our clients were not successful. But as part of that, it does require practices making more judicious, more of those critical decisions quicker. It's important to be judicious, but it's also important to not drag it out. Once you've identified a good company and that company follows through with honesty, integrity, and good values, and you know you're going to be getting a good product, there's no need at that point to delay the decision any longer, especially when you know you need it.